Well, well. Now we are in the Maison Rouge. Maison Rouge is the house of Nera Luce in the city of Turin. Turin is one of the three cities that bought this three city create the magic triangle. Okay, the dark triangle, but this is only myth. Okay, if you want to know better this, go to Google and read about Turin. Then now I am here to read the text. The name of the text is about Meon and Dark radiance, and read it in this translation in English. Always the text is separated by a concept. This concept is the concept of I'm not reading, okay, now, of the dark radiance. Dark radiance is a concept that I had felt in my life always, and first of to read it in a book. And recently I found this book. This book is Libera Nigre Solis, edited by Victor Voronov. And in this book I find finally this concept, this reality. Okay, this reality is not only a concept for me, was a reality, was a fact. And then I decided to create this text for this, to explain this in honor to Lapland. The call of the Meon and Dark radiance. It was the last sunset in Lapland, the last evening in which to await the arrival of the northern lights. The horizon was cold and dark, and sunset was very long both that the sun was at the day. With the arrival of the sunset, the sky announcing the aurora borealis, and a cold sharp would go down with the night. I imagine the chill darkness of the mountain can get closer to that feeling, piercing that lapse night, expressed without sensationalism, and a wonderful silence surrounded by kilometer and kilometer of frosty white desert. And in those places, what I could find, it was a sensation of the core, ruthless darkness that cleans, shines, and kills. When I decided that for my 30 years I would leave land for the Finland Lapland, it was because those places called me to itself with power inexorably, without remedy. It was the aurora borealis, I think now, that attracted me at the empty lands of Lapland, deserted and frosty, and without thinking I went. I left alone, and I left alone as I have always been, and how will be at my death. I was in the Wurkokekonan Park when I feel the pervasive and agonizing high feeling of ecstasy, because what I had around me was a desert of snow from the unbearable beauty. Its beauty and its frost were too far, not being able to tear apart. And so Lapland and its pure frost come inside me. This is a kind of love that I can only try for what is I, whether on earth or elsewhere. The kind of love I have for the man, the dark cold man, whose uncasing call the soul regrets me at every cycle. I think the same way about the trip as well as when without thinking, and the same way from my course how if death The recall of man will be made to fill into century, and all of me converged toward it. The beauty of those high places of deepest silence and merciless had a timeless beauty that raptured in total, and I have been kidnapped by death the same way. This act of which I often speak, born in me very soon, has generated in me a lot of crops, took me in its kingdom, called me deeply. And this was inside me, but also beyond me. The nights in Lapland were suffering, the mid felt pain of the frozen limbs, but none of this stopped my willingness to seek the aurora borealis. And every night the northern light could reach me, frozen alive within eternal silence in the white desert. I finally saw the aurora borealis, the frosty night of the Meon. Few people, if any people, including why I decided to go to Lapland so suddenly. I knew I could not wait any longer, and this is how I conceived my every goal and every place where I moved. For I am called to the life gates of death, and likewise have been called everywhere in or out. Of it would be. I have done all this immersed in liquid over world that had found space in me to create other world. I had received the frost without border long before I realized that the ice were my home and my light was the black light. Everything in me has done, however, and always according to the law of my nature and according to the recall of what I was born to love beyond all definition. And as in my first law, without time, forever, without form of my own, was the center that kills, I found pure and rootless in the land of the north. And the last sunset in Lapland, I greeted the elks that stand in the middle of the snow desert at sunset. They spurted the horn from the infinite expanse of white desert. Around me was an endless and frosty horizon, stopping me freezing. I have learned of the existence of the possibility that darkness can radiate dark light because in me has this possibility been has been, and because this is the reality that I live in, and I always know best. As I become aware of what I am, and as I continue to go down in the catacombs. The descent into the catacombs for me, it started many years ago. I chose that. I chose the God. I was called to life to nourish its hate, but I'm not interested in what is not pure and high. The great height of winged vertigo where addition has shown me that there are different levels of density of darkness, and that in the visual perception that mind has, as addition, black has several levels of black. There are way of darkness and the high space, and should be designed that their attention. If at time that the structural analogy with the concept known and the fixed attention of man can be useful to understand what I'm saying, I thought, well, then at the same time, it is not with this in mind fixed attention can be known. And then knowing that there is the black light is different from having experienced it. I never had any doubt about my experience, but yet I had never had the opportunity to find out information about the book. Actually, I was not looking for, but my experience had told me that many alleged master appeal to conceptual knowledge, maybe even very large and measure their size with the success that they get at the other. And of many self-proclaimed masters that they've heard, very few had the ability to be guided by the royal power and feel pure state. I stopped to wait for answer from book or human for many years and found that the thing I wanted from the high hate from which I was kidnapped and torn very young. And the experience of the horror primordial, of the primordial horror, has provided me on many levels and come over me, always lives with me. There is to be loved and to love me. His love killed me. His love has poisoned me. I learned what love, that winged of spring could conceive, can do, destroy and dismember, cutting and slicing, dissolve and burning. I had a feeling of being dismembered by life. Gradually, that it gave birth to a monster of human appearance, but it is not this kind of dismemberment that gave me the high view. The kind of dismemberment, folding bones, as only the frost can do, that pull you into a voluptuous, merciless grip, was the one who held me. The frosty horror man has ripped off the low west and left me empty-head of all full of poison. I know how to survive the poison and how to multiply me as a few individuals can do, and I know to do it in this world, but especially in special hyper war I love. I understood and knew the kind of power that all this could give it to me because it murderers pervaded me. In my blood, I could hear that spread poison through my vein like a spider web of death, that wove ocean. I have been imbued with the certainty of embodying the darkness with no doubt, but what I've discovered over the year has been much more is of this, and the catacomb have called me deeply, and as I descended, as I said, I have seen the level of black, and then at times I have seen the emergence of light, of black light, circle around the dark and the foam. Then I recognize in the eclipse of sun as a terrestrial phenomenon by analogy could be matched to that of the black light I had known, although in specular way. And the light could emerge from the darkness on the edge not joined of the final dissolution, where the frost man no longer able to go further, giving birth to the primary visual unity. The vision that emerges from darkness became from that moment the first reference of all my work, and I pushed myself even deeper. If initially it was the natural calling of Meon and my own nature to push me in the catacomb to the catacombs, then the sudden light was another reason to think. And all this is not for everyone. I think all this required that there be a nuclear preparation for this position and conscious abandonment of the movable surface where the fixed there is during great mirages. If I will ever know someone who can share this experience with me, at least thank lady. Everything I write come from my experience, and I rarely found this concept in books. I have lived with the enemy at the gate, and the place where I lived, and in the territories where I come from, it is a thin space that divides us from Clifford and that real life. And so I have seen them, and they see me. What do you see if you reach it? It became a part of your existence, and together, so primal horror. I lived when I was young, 16 years old. Okay, I lived when I was young for many years with the Clifford and with the rifling vision of young death to send me awake and while dreaming. I have lived in this another kind of world then for many years with the feeling that I was expected soon, and that would have been a horrible death. And this thinking has provided me for many years in the the lore of the day, and it was for this that I started to accept that and to reflect on it very young. And there were more than 16 years ago when me and we were began our journey with that. I chose to love her and welcome her in the same manner in which I received the frost, and I could choose to fight it, yes, but I knew it was an old part of me, and I was told that only by loving the horror could become the queen of the hell. And this love had transformed me over here, has dismembered me, transformed me. And if I cannot love what do not join of this depth in me, because the root that led the underworld of darkness are very developed, and my more flamed memories composed of this. Many years later, 50 years later, I managed to see the light at the bottom of the frosty vertigo, and something in me has awakened. It was the black flame radiating darkness, the dark radiance. I could generate dark radiance only when the boundary have dissolved. When I looked at that love, the ancient gravestone of myself, and I looked at me like a frosty stone. Married to death from inhuman times, I wonder always where the curtain are raised. I cannot be arrested because of what I was brought up, where timeless poison beautifully thriving primordial spirits. If I look to the root that grow toward even, because it is after all this, I was left with little to share with people of the past right. Applause from the audience are unvoiced. How far you can go cry in your weak and infinitely deep cavern where I live, and where that I loved looking at your blood. And if I have nourished of life, the highest expression of life, it was transformed to transform the life in that and set fire to the black flame, black radiance. Then that upon recently wrote something in a chapter of Liber Solis Nigris, Liber Soli Nigris. It does not radiate like the light, because its origin is not the sun and its rays, but its origin is the darkness, and the darkness as the darkness, the light that emits is pervasive, continuous, meaningful. It spread in waves like a black tide, shallow, nourished, and fits, raises the curtain, create war and create other radiant darkness. What survives at poison becomes eternal. Eternity is a corrosive pace, ruthless. I think Austinus Spare, speaking of the neo and the same concept of the frosty man, they refer to these areas without sidereal time, which swallow the false light, and in this sense they feed of life. And the earth life is a proliferation of the false light, victory of surface, the noise and violence, and the noise and the violence of that which has no power. And most of the men know how to live only in myths. But when the vibrational hay grow the darkness and increases the call, and since what is increased in the sense of the real and the non-terrestrial realm are in fact hyper-real and hyper-spatial, and the corrosive light is so. This led me now to say that the emergence of the black fire from the scatter of light, that from the central point of the vortex toward the circular great beam of light around the darkness. We are in front of the black sun, the only sun from which the corrosive light rises, and the only way the light creates. The black light that originates from the darkness is the only way in which the light by which the dark radiance created a world because its germ is darkness. What can be conceived by a mind that has abandoned many ways of being of the human mind? Being the myth beyond it, it possesses a temporal quality of those areas where such knowledge is put in place. When I see, I know immediately that it is so. It was in this way, no matter of false definition, I have come to understand what I have conceived, and only later I wrote about it. The pure logos inhabits the sidereal silence where everything exists to exist, no matter that what was born to exist is known. It will exist, however, told or not. But if I, in my unstoppable ferocity, joining gods and monsters, I got to drive up to peer into that light at time, it was because I left the earth long before now. And if I remember that I loved what I was born to love, this led me to be able to conceive to push me back to the catacombs. And in this trip, I did not know nothing I did not already know. I found this book and I read in it that someone who probably I never will know not I never will know has experienced that I have experienced it too. But I had not, however, duped about what I was saying. All these have been and is so real and pervasive to allow me the honor of dancing with that once a time and to be able to conceive it. I would have done anyway, even without knowing it. And that was what dragged me indomitable and pro toward my horrificates that memory that the snowy summit have awakened, and then Lapland and still many other summits have led me to be viewed. And the view of what on earth I could love coldly and deeply, inevitably and darkly. Such a deep feeling to be elusive, so pervasive as to be definable. What animated and revived me from my hell. I promise you that I will return from the catacombs. Oh, once a time to drink that thick life by the blood wearing filthy cobwebs in the meat, the horrible life that was born in me with frosty man, Lilitu.